Welcome back to my corner of the internet, guys. I am the Lucid Dream, and this one is going to be a little bit of a deviation from our normally scheduled programming. However, this is so far outside of the realm of what is acceptable that I had to say something. We are going to take a look at a video by that vegan teacher. Now, I don't know if many of you know who she is. You may, if you keep up with social media at all, I'm sure you've seen her at some point in time. She is fairly obnoxious, but this is insane. So I saw this on Frauditor Troll's new channel, Brain Rot, and I've known who the vegan teacher is for a long time. I'm not a follower. I'm not a fan. I'm not vegan, so, just not my thing. But this woman has lost her mind. Holy crap. First and foremost, thank you to all of my channel members and subscribers. Without you, I would not be here. So as always, every day, thank you. Let's get into this dumpster fire. This is nuts.
Imagine that this is your baby, and you ask your sister to babysit for a little while because you have to run some errands. Imagine that you tell your sister that you are vegan and you don't want your baby to eat any animal products. You trust your sister because you think your sister loves you and respects you. But when you're not looking, your sister takes the dead body part of an innocent animal who didn't want to die and feeds it to your child. Then she makes a video and she posts it for everyone to see. But the feedback she gets isn't of people scolding her for being cruel and betraying her sister's trust. The feedback she gets is praise. This is the kind of vegan-phobic world we live in, where a vegan mother cannot even trust her own family to follow her instructions and not betray her.
So I have absolutely no problem with anyone that is vegan. I have no problem with any kind of dietary decision because to me, that's what it is. It is just a dietary decision. It is not the end of the world. What I find absolutely absurd, though, is tacking the word phobia onto everything. And the fact that we live in a society that does this. Everything now is a phobia if you speak out against it. And I think that is absolutely absurd. And this isn't even speaking out against it. So her calling this vegan phobia is, I think, overdramatic and excessive. The only thing I do agree with her on slightly is if you bring your child over to your family's house and you give them your wishes when it comes to your child, should you expect them to respect that? Yeah, probably. But that does not excuse what this woman is about to say.
Millions of people have seen this video and have commented that they think it is funny, and they somehow think that this is proof that the baby wants the meat. But look closely. This meat is covered in barbecue sauce, which is made of salt, sugar, and spices. The baby is enjoying the barbecue sauce, which is vegan. If this had been a lollipop, the child would have had the same reaction. If this had been somebody's penis covered in sauce, the child had the same reaction. If this had been somebody's penis covered in sauce, Why would you make that connection? It doesn't make any sense, number one. But number two, this woman used to be a teacher, someone who worked around children. Why are these thoughts in her head and coming out of her mouth? That's insane. The child would have had the same reaction. Let that sink in for a minute. Ponder that. Picture that. Feel that in your gut. Let that imagery wash all over your body. And before you can scream and yell and say that there is a big difference between the two, I invite you right now to try to articulate that. Because, in fact, there is no difference. If a mother tells you not to put something in her child's mouth, and you do it, you have essentially raped that child's palate.
The fact that she cannot see the difference between giving a baby food, whether or not it is her dietary preference or not, and an absolutely unspeakable act that I'm not going to articulate. That's worrying, especially considering that she used to work with children. If that is where her mind is at, that those two things are equally as bad, that's disgusting.
This baby had a right to maintain her vegan virginity. This mother did not consent to her child eating an animal. This child did not consent to eating an animal who didn't want to die. On behalf of all good people who live on this planet and are able to see right from wrong, I apologize to this child. I am deeply sorry that your aunt felt the need to do this to you. To all mothers and fathers who are striving to be vegan in this vegan-phobic world, I salute you. To the millions of people who have commented on this post and laughed about it, try for a moment to put yourself in the position of the animal. This animal did not want to die. This is somebody's rib. Somebody's rib. It is somebody's body part. The animal wanted to be with his or her family. The animal had a right to live. All animals have a right to be free, to live their lives without being commodified, tortured, raped, killed, and dismembered. All babies have a right to maintain their vegan virginity. Babies do not consent to having body parts put into their mouth, whether it's a penis or a rib or anything else.
So, yeah, she needs a padded cell, preferably one with iron bars on it, because if we are going to go off of this video alone, this woman is reprehensible. Like, there is absolutely no way you can compare something that is universally a horrible crime to eating a barbecue rib for Sunday dinner. Humans are omnivores. I hate to tell you. Humans are omnivores. Now, whether or not you choose to be vegan, that's your choice, and that's perfectly okay. There is nothing wrong with that. This is wrong, though. This has nothing to do with being vegan. This has to do with being a horrible human being. So she has been banned from TikTok, and the reason she got so much attention in the first place was because she got into it with Gordon Ramsay. And I'm sure you can imagine how that went.
Eating animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Hurting animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Share this song, and if you call me a donut, that's fine.
Vegan donut.
You're vegan from now on. Hello, students. Welcome to class. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so not happy to see Gordon Ramsay. Eating animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Hurting animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Putting baby boy chicks in giant blenders and murdering them at just 1 day old is wrong. That's why you need to be vegan from now on. Eating animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Hurting animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Share their song and stop murdering baby boy chicks just because they can't lay eggs. And start being vegan from now on.
No, I wish that I was kidding when I tell you she has a playlist on Spotify, but no, she actually has a playlist on Spotify. But that is not the end of the insanity. There is a rabbit hole here that this is terrifying.
Reason number one why vegans are better than God. If vegans had designed the planet, we never would have designed it in such a way that any animals would hurt others. They would have been designed so that all animals would be herbivores. Everybody would just eat plants. And I know what you're thinking, the world would overpopulate. So how that would be settled is that all animals would die in their sleep painlessly. For example, you and I would die at about 100 years old without ever having a heart attack, a stroke, or any kind of cancer, or being mauled to death. And all animals would die at the appropriate time in order to avoid overpopulation, and everything would be stable and equalized. We could all still enjoy the planet. We could all do stuff like whatever you guys want to do, bungee jumping, walking through the mountains, lying in the sun, enjoying the rain and the sun and everything, but without suffering. That's what vegans would have done if we could design the planet. So that's just another reason why vegans are better than God. It's just a fact.
Yeah, this is not normal. This is absolutely not normal. This is all her channel is filled with. And it is like the world's worst and deepest rabbit hole of vegan propaganda. And I don't even like to use that word, but if it ever applied to anyone, it would be this woman. She compares Gordon Ramsay to Hitler. I mean, there's something wrong in that woman's head. And back to the original video, the fact that she can rationalize comparing a horrible act of abuse on a child to eating a barbecue rib kind of tells you where she is mentally. She doesn't see a distinction because to her, there's nothing worse. And that is in itself concerning.
The only body part that should ever have come into contact with this baby is his own mother's arms and her breast milk. We live in a twisted world, but we can change. Let's do that. When you look at the comments below, try to imagine the kind of person who is writing them. Try to imagine their face, what they look like, the kind of circumstances they're living in, how deranged they are, how psychotic they are. If there are good people who are reading this, now is your chance to step forward. Share this video with anyone you know who is vegan. Share this video with anyone you know who has a baby. And if you haven't yet done so, watch the documentary called Dominion Movement on YouTube. It's free. Then share that too. Thank you to all kind people who are here today with me.
So I really do think that it is time that YouTube removed her from the platform and followed TikTok's lead. There are plenty of community guidelines violations in her content, including this one. And it really comes down to this kind of extremism isn't good for any kind of activism. And that's what she is. She is an extremist. She really believes that the abuse of a child is not as bad as eating a barbecue rib. In her mind, there is nothing worse. And that's a little terrifying. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see, and I will catch you on the next one. I'm going to go make a hamburger.